Hello, everyone, and we are here to talk about the common components and the custom object enhancements that are being made with Clarity 15.9. So what's new with 15.9? So in 15.9, we have made changes to the common components. We have made improvements to the common components where the details modules that was available in the flyout and then the details module that were in the object instance itself, we have finally made a way to distinguish the two. And the way we are doing it is by calling the details that are inside the object instance as properties. This is what our customers have known it in the past. This is how we refer to it in the classic. So we are making that change where the opening of an object instance will be then referred to as properties. We have also added the ability to see sub-objects in the flyout. So this way you can have multiple sub-objects available to you in the flyout itself. You can edit those sub-object instances and as well as you can see the same when you open the object instance. There are a few other usability updates made to the flyout, which we will cover in detail. And then finally, the ability to retain the flyout state, which we will also cover in depth in later. For the custom object, we have made the enhancements to now add the custom object to the attribute, the field level security. This allows you to secure certain attributes within the custom object itself, very similar to what you could have done with the projects and ideas. Why is this important? In the previous release, we had introduced the custom object to the Mon UX. Several of our customers and partners use custom object on a regular basis to manage several non-project related items and wanted a lot of enhancements being made to it just to improve the usability. In addition, there were several enhancement requests that came from our customers just to drive adoption. So a lot of the changes we are done is based on direct customer feedback. So the first change itself, renaming of the details to properties within the module itself. This means that when you open a specific object instance, now you will see the properties as the header for that section, which is very similar to what you would see in the classic UI. These changes are made to distinguish between the attributes you see when you're in the flyout, as well as when you open the object instance, the different attributes you see. So you now have a clear distinction between those as to which one is a detail, which one is the properties. These changes are made for all the master objects that use the common grid. So that means project objects, ideas, custom investment, all of these now will have these changes made to them. So you will now start seeing properties instead of details. We've added sub-objects to the blueprint. And now what you can do is any sub-objects that you have for your object, whether it's the project object, custom objects, or custom investment types, you can add sub-objects to it. And you also have a new flag that when you add that sub-object to your blueprint, you have a new flag that allows you to control if that sub-object should be displayed in the flyout for your grid. This is important behavior, which we will see the reason why in a little bit later. Checking the flag will display that sub-object in the flyout. Unchecking it will not display the sub-object in the flyout. However, opening the object instance will still show you the sub-object. When you do check the flag, you will see the sub-object displayed inside the flyout as a tab. The tabs in the flyout now have the actual names So as you can see in this example, I have details, I have the distribution location, which is a subobject, and I have another subobject called purchase order. These subobjects, now I can see the names instead of the icons that used to be in the past. This was needed because several customers approached us saying that just having the icons was not sufficient to understand which specific subobject is being displayed right there. So having the name makes it easier. Because now we have the names, we have also made the tabs scrollable, so you can scroll left and right to get to the appropriate tab you want to see. The subobjects also have a shared grid between those subobject grid and in the flyout. This means that when I click on the subobject tab within my flyout, I will see my columns laid out exactly how it is if I was to open the object instance, go into that specific subobject. However, I have arranged my tabs, columns, that's exactly how I will see it in the flyout. So that layout is exactly the same. In addition, we've also added the ability to expand the subobject. So it becomes difficult to just see those multiple columns in that small flyout. And if you want to see the full subobject, you can click on the expand button, which will then display the full subobject grid. And that's where you can see the different views. You can see the ability to add and remove different columns, as well as the details, which is the flyout for that subobject itself. The behavior for the subobject grid layout is consistent throughout all the different master objects. The layout for those expand remains the same for every subobject except for the assignment module. We've also, based on customer feedback, have made changes to the flyout state. So several customers had approached us saying that every time they go into a specific object instance and they want to see the detail of that, they have to expand or click on the detail button. This made it not very user-friendly because there were too many clicks that each time they go somewhere, they have to click on the detail button, open it up, review the changes, then navigate somewhere else, come back, and again, the flyout was closed. Starting 15.9, we have made changes to retain the flyout state. What that means is if I go into a specific object, I click on the detail, which is to expand the flyout, and I can navigate somewhere else, come back, that flyout state will remain as is, so it will remain expanded in my example. The same flyout state will also be retained if I log out and log back in. This means it's pretty much consistent retain based on no matter where I am, whether I am navigating around or logging out and logging in. The same expanded state is also maintained in the expand view. So in the previous slide, you saw that if I have a subobject, in that subobject, if I click on the expand, and I can see that in the flyout modular, then that state of the expanded flyout remains as is. And finally, if I was to select a specific tab in my flyout, then navigating around that selected tab is also retained. In regards to the custom object, we have added the custom object to the field level security. This means when I go into attributes in the modern UX, now I have the option to select my custom object. In order for me to do that, I obviously require two specific rights, and these are the same rights that have existed in the past, which is my administration access, attribute management navigate are the two rights. Once I have those rights and I can get into, I can pick my custom object that I want to grant security, and I can then assign the rights to the user groups as I could do for projects and ideas. The way to grant right is same. I can grant edit right, view right, or no right at all to different attributes. If I grant edit right to a specific attribute, the first thing that happens is that the visual indicator is added to that attribute in all the views, which means in the grid view, in the flyout, as well as in the properties page. All of those will have the new icon displayed that this attribute is protected. The new visual indicator is then allows person to see that if it is protected, as well as once you try to double click and make changes, based on your edit right, you can then either modify it or not. If we grant somebody just only view access rights, then again, the attribute visual indicator is still displayed. The user can see the attribute data. However, when they try to edit that field, they will get the denial icon. In the grid view, they will get the red denial icon indicating that they cannot modify it. In the properties page, just double clicking on it, they will not be able to edit it. If a user does not belong to either the edit or view groups that have been granted access, then that user does not have any access right to that attribute and cannot see the data. In fact, that user will not be able to not only see the data, but will not even be able to see that attribute in either the grid, the flyout, or in the properties page. Again, this behavior is consistent as what we had for projects and ideas. We've now just added that behavior to our custom objects. So with that, let's go in and see the actual functionality in action. So I'm going to go into my Clarity 15.9. And for this purpose, I'm going to display this new functionality for my custom objects only. So I have a custom object called funding source. Right here, I can see that as soon as I come into this page, my flyout is already open. So it retained, it remembered from my past usage that the flyout was open. So it has that, it has just retained that state. Selecting a specific object instance, I can now see the details page right here, as well as I can see my sub-object that is added. And the sub-object is editable, so I can just double click and start modifying any of this data. If I open my object instance, then you can see that the tab, the module, is being now renamed to properties. So now you have a clear distinction between what is when you're inside an object instance, whereas when you are looking at the same data in the flyout. So here are my details. When I'm reviewing my sub-object, as you can see, if there are several fields, I have to scroll left and right to see the exact data. Of course, I can try to expand this a little bit to see more data, but it still doesn't cover all the fields that I want. So we've added the expand functionality. So when you click on this expand, we open that same sub-object in the flyout modular. Here I can see all the attributes. I can see all the views. So whatever views I had defined for my sub-object, all of those views become available to me right here. I can manage and create new views. I can add additional columns if I want to, or for a specific, I can look at the details. So now I have the flyout available for my sub-object. I can export the data out, as well as if I make any changes. So in my example, if I don't want to look at the name and the ID, I just remove that. Once I exit out of here, the same is retained right here. So you can see that the name and ID are gone from my flyout right here, as well as opening that specific and going into that module, the name and ID disappeared. So any changes that are made to the flyout, whether in the expanded mode or in just the flyout itself, those are retained across all the flyout, the expanded, as well as reviewing it inside the object instance. Now to go in and look at the field level security. As you can see that we have added the custom object to our field level security. So my funding source is available to me right here. These are all the attributes. I can secure them. In my case, there are two attributes that I've secured, the percent of overall funding as well as the funding total. I've granted different rights to the different users that can see this. So this functionality is now set up. If I go into my custom object, I've logged in as an admin that has all rights. And I can see the two fields right here with their icons. Because I'm the admin that has edit rights, I can modify any of these fields. The same goes if I go into the details, I can modify these fields. I can modify them right here. And if I open this up and look at the properties page, I have the same fields available to me with the icon that I can modify. If I now log in as a user that only has view rights, navigating to the custom object, I will see that I have the same two fields, but I cannot edit it. Same in my details, I cannot edit this. And if I go inside the object instance, look at the properties, I cannot edit it. So that functionality is retained across all three. And finally, if I go and log in as a user that does not have any access to those fields, then I will not even see those fields in my view. If I go into the funding source, you can see those fields are not even available in my grid view, nor are they available in my flyout. And finally, inside the properties, they're just disappeared. In fact, if you notice, the entire section is disappeared because the section only had two fields, and those two fields had both secured attributes that I could not see. So we not only removed those attributes, we also removed the entire section because there's really nothing to display there. So that concludes what I wanted to cover for my demo.